long time, I was scared to share my true color, to be who I truly was. I was hiding in the story I was reading, fearful of what people would think about me. But this ends now. I have stopped running. I decide to accept my diversity. Today, I will share our story of neurodiversity and mental health awareness. Welcome on the ADHD Melly Show. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to have you today. I hope that you're all doing well. And before we start, we're going to do a little shout out to my sponsors, ZeroDB. Thank you so much for sponsoring me. Those drinks are very amazing when you have anxiety and just want to stress out and clear your mind. This is very amazing. And I'm not saying that because I got sponsored or I got the product for free. I really believe it. And yeah. So Wes is coming today. He seems to be in his car right now, and I hope everything's going to work just fine. And we're going to talk about how to channel anxiety to work for you and not against you, because I have a lot of anxiety and sometimes it's hard to breathe, just think correctly. It's very hard sometimes and challenging. So welcome, Wes. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, everything's good. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I know I'm calling in from the car. I'm on the road right now. I'm in South Carolina doing a speaking engagement here. So I'm just on the go.
It's totally okay. I'm happy that you are here. That's what's the most important, right? So please introduce
Yes.
yourself. Who are you?
Yes, hello. My name is Wes Woodson. I am a man of many things. I am a professional public speaker. I am a mental health advocate where I travel the country speaking on anxiety awareness, mental health awareness largely. I'm the author of the published book, Have Anxiety, So What? And I'm also a chief storyteller of The Hidden Company, which is my lifestyle brand, people to be their true selves unapologetically. And that's what I do. That's who I am. And I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much, really much. And thank you, Alex, for being here today and supporting me like she's always doing. She's always there to almost all my shows. She has been a guest before, and if you haven't seen her, just go on my YouTube channel and you will be able to just replay the show. So go on my YouTube channel. I know it's a long link, but I need 100 followers there to be able to write the ADHD Millie show on that link. So please follow me, and I'll be so happy to just have fun with you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. So what do you mean by channeling anxiety for working for me, not for not being able to work or being too stressed to be able to do anything, which I'm always living right now?
Oh yes. It's really an anxious time that we're all living in. High anxiety. For me, I always get the question, you have anxiety, which I do. How do you go on stage, at least every week and at least once a week, and you do one of the most anxiety provoking things, which means speaking in public? Um, I've learned how to really effectively channel my anxiety. And how it has worked for me is I really try to bring awareness of the negative self-talk that kind of is behind my anxiety, right? So whenever I go on stage, that negative voice in our heads that's saying like, "Oh, people are gonna laugh at you. You're gonna stumble over your words. You're not gonna have anyone watch you for the full time." All these negative things. So I try to become aware of that voice and I try to replace it with good things. So I try to be like, you know what? If I go out there and fail, who cares? I mean, I'm gonna be in this state for 24 hours and then I leave and they'll never see me again. Or, oh my gosh, I love the fact that I have this cool necklace on and I love the fact that I get a chance to go out on stage. I try to reverse that story I tell myself. Now, this is a lot easier said than done, and it's taken me a long time to really work at this and challenging those negative self-beliefs I have. But that's just one of the ways that I do to really channel my anxiety for good.
Great. And when you cannot channel it for some reason, you have a panic attack. Sometimes you cannot just stop the panic attack. It just happens, and you have to deal
Yeah.
with that happening to you. So how do you channel that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. For me, and you're right. When I do have anxiety attacks, when I do have low days, there are days. Even last week, I was burnt out from being on the road too much, and I didn't want to go outside. I was in my bed. Those days are gonna happen. Those days will happen. For me, they happen. They still happen today, even though I do know how to channel it properly. Um, and I offer myself self-compassion. I offer myself, telling myself, you know what, it's okay to not be okay. And then I reach into what I call my toolbox of skills and positive coping mechanisms that I can use, to learn how to be okay again. So for me, I like to exercise. I love to watch Netflix. I love to journal. I love to reach out to my support system, my friends, my family, my girlfriend. I love to literally do things to be active, and it's really hard sometimes to get out of bed when you're feeling depressed. So another thing I do too when I'm feeling very low is I try to really find small wins of the day, right? So whether that means taking a shower, whether that means making a bed, my bed, whether that means even putting food into my body, as something as small as that, I celebrate that like that's the Super Bowl, and I go wild, and it makes me feel better because that also creates this momentum that allows me to go forward. So it's okay to not have these bad days. Bad days will come. It's just how do you recover from those bad days is the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try that too. And sometimes I just allow myself to cry because there's nothing else that I
Yeah,
can do. And sometimes there
yeah.
can be anxiety about a situation that you can change, like not having a job, having don't have any money in your bank account. It's causing a lot of anxiety that you cannot change. When that happens to you, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh, if I'm being honest with you, like with my business, I hyper compare myself all the time, right? I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what do I don't like, why don't I have that? Why am I not doing enough? Why am I not good enough?" And that's just that voice in your head that's just convincing you. I saw a funny meme, like a meme, like one of those
Mm-hmm.
jokes online. It was like, all anxiety is just conspiracy theories about yourself. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like that's so true." Like you're telling yourself all these what ifs, but then I try to really bring my awareness to, what do I have? All right, I might not have $1 million in the bank account, but I have a car that works, that gets me from point A to point B. I have a job that gets me to travel in the country and I get to meet all these new people, right? I try to really reverse that story. And for me, I learned all these things when I was hospitalized because I had the biggest anxiety attack of my life. And in the hospital, I learned all these techniques and tricks. But the biggest thing that I learned, and it's the biggest secret that I want to share with all your viewers today. It is a secret, is that our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors, they're all related. They're all interconnected. And if we could possibly challenge our thoughts, really become aware of the thoughts that we have in our brain, and then maybe we can start to really change the way we feel about ourselves, which then changes the way we behave on a day-to-day basis. That's really kind of what has always worked.
And what kind of conference are you doing when you were traveling? Because you do a lot of conference. Is all about mental health and anxiety, or is it about something else?
So I speak with two organizations. One, my mom always messes up the name, so I was gonna say it clear for your viewers and your listeners. One is called Dear World. Dear World, they're a storytelling project. So what they do is we travel around the country and we really empower students and even CEOs of big companies that they have a story worth sharing. And we do this to celebrate vulnerability and authenticity. So I really get a chance to really work with students. Like today, I'm going on stage in like an hour in front of like 1,000 kids to really empower them to tell their story, and really teach them to really take a memory from their life and tell their story around it. The other org that I speak with is called Minding Your Mind. Minding Your Mind is a nonprofit organization that is hired by schools and colleges to really break the stigma around mental health by having young adult speakers go into those schools and share their story about how they dealt with their own mental health challenges. So those are kind of my two events. Storytelling and mental health awareness is what I really talk about at large.
And what makes you decide to be a speaker? You have anxiety, etc. What was the point? Did you say, "Oh, I'm going to share my story. I'm sure it's not magic like that. Oh, let's go. I'm going to go on LinkedIn, talk about my story like that. Woohoo. I'm sure it was not magic. How did it start?"
That's a great question. My Uber driver, when I was in Akron, Ohio. I saw someone from Ohio in here. I was in Akron, Ohio 3 weeks ago, and my Uber driver asked that same question. He was like, "You have anxiety, but then you do public speaking. Like, what made you do that?" Like, I literally picked the worst career for someone who has anxiety, right? But it turned out to be the best career for me. Because I didn't intend to do this, right? I didn't set out to be a public speaker. That kind of came later. What always helped me with my feelings was writing. I would always write in my journal. I guess you can say a diary. I'll admit right now to all your viewers, I had a diary. I'm not ashamed to say it. I had a diary.
It's
And in my diary,
totally
I would just,
okay.
yeah, right? It's totally okay to have a diary. We got to normalize men having diaries. Men have diaries.
Why not?
Uh,
Yeah, I think every man just should have a diary because maybe they will be
yeah.
more sensible about what other lives.
Yeah, and now they want to be all sensitive and call them journals. I'm like, no, it's a diary. Just call it what it is. It's a diary. So I had a diary, and in my diary, I would always write my thoughts, my feelings. I was always a writer, right? So when I was in the hospital, after my bad anxiety attack, every single day, when I would learn something new, I would just write it down and reflect. And before I knew it, I had a book. Like I had enough pages. I'm like, you know, this would be a crazy book. It would be a wild book if I could just give this to someone else because I was learning all these secrets, all these tools of like how to better manage your anxiety. I mean, I was learning how to find a therapist, how to actually cope when you have a panic attack. I was learning all these things, and I was like, I wish I could give this knowledge to someone else. Like, why do you have to go to the lowest point of your life to get access to this level of knowledge, right? So
Hmm.
then I ended up publishing and writing my book, turning all those notes into a book, and that's what my first book, I Have Anxiety, So What, is. It's just my reflections of me in the hospital. And then after that, my mom was like, Wes, you should probably like go start speaking in schools about what you experience because I bet there's so many other kids. So then I reached out to this organization called Minding Your Mind that I told you about.
Hmm.
And then I found this other org called Dear World. So it kind of happened by accident. It was very organic and natural. And then I've been doing this for the last 6 months, and it's been wonderful.
Great. So that's your real job. You do what you love, actually. That's very great.
I love it. I love it. I live for it. I'm super like even though I was on the plane heading into South Carolina and I was like I'm about to go on stage and speak to 1,000 people I've never done before. I was anxious. I am anxious, but I'm also excited.
That's great. Are you coming Canada one day?
Oh, are you in Canada? Is that where you are? You're in
Yes.
Canada? We gotta. I will try to talk to some people and see how I can come out to Canada because I would love to come out to Canada. When I do, you'll be the first person I call to come to the show.
Amazing. And Lex said she's in Ohio too, near to Cleveland. So she's near
Oh,
where you
awesome.
were.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Small world.
Yeah, really. So, what's your secret of when you have a panic attack to just return to your own self? Because I guess you cannot go to the hospital each time it's going
No,
the worst for your life. What will be your,
no.
your tip for that?
That's a great question. So I try there's two groups of things I do. One is I depend on myself, right? There's a set of things I do for myself, and then two, I reach out for help. So let's start with the first thing. For me, when I'm depending on myself, what I can do, let's say I'm alone and I have an anxiety attack, and I don't want to call somebody, I don't want to, tell anybody just yet. I do deep breathing. So I do 5-7-5, which is a deep breathing exercise that the CEO of Dear World actually taught me. So it's 5-second inhale, 7-second hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then 5-second exhale. And the reason why you do this, it really when you do it like repeatedly, it really focuses your awareness on the present moment. Because when you're anxious and you're having a panic attack, you're thinking all these thoughts,
Yeah.
like a million thoughts at once, right? And you just can't even realize where you are. Like it could become disorienting. You get sweaty, you get nauseous, you start to panic, you can't breathe, you get tight breathing.
Oh yeah.
So that deep breathing really does, and it's intentional breathing, gets you to kind of hit reset, and that what works. Secondly, that I do for myself is when I'm feeling anxious, I try my best to sit still, but I need like some level of interaction with my hands. I like to fidget a lot, so I have a fidget spinner. It's in my backpack in the back seat. I use that a lot too when I'm feeling anxious. But when I reach out for other people, I have a trusted support system, my best friends, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend. I tell them, look, I'm having a bad day. I don't need you to fix me. I just need to be heard. I want to be listened to. And I think so many friends want to help, right? But people who are struggling mentally, we don't want to be fixed. We just want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And those two groups of things, that's what I do every day, or when I feel anxious.
So, if I give you an example, you have a panic attack, and I am your support system. What you want for that people to act towards you?
I would be like, hey, listen, like I'm having a bad day today. Can I just talk to you? And you'd be like, yeah, sure, Wes. Like, what do you like? Everything all right? I'm like, yeah, man. But before we continue, I just want to tell you that like I don't want you to fix me. I just want to kind of get things off my chest. Just like vent to you. Can I vent to you? And then I hopefully you say yes. I mean, hopefully
Yeah, I
I
will say
imagine
yes, of
I
course.
imagine you're a wonderful friend, so you would say yes, right? You wouldn't say no to me, but you would say yes.
Of
Um,
course.
Right. And then I would just talk, right? I would just speak. And then I think what's always a question I always get on the road is what do I do for a friend who has mental health challenges, right? And I always
Mm-hmm.
say, well, it's always important to be a listener, not a fixer. And the second thing is always remind them that you're going to be there for them. Because sometimes when we have a mental health challenge, we think we're the only person who feels this way, and we're the only person who has to go through this. And having that support system and being reminded that you have that support system is what can be so beneficial.
Absolutely. And for you, what's the worst thing to do for somebody that want to help somebody else? Not about only fixing, but what will be the no thing to do?
Never say like, oh, just get over it, or just think happier thoughts, or it's all in your head. Just like get over it. Like that's just so. Oh, I hate getting that advice, and I that's not helpful advice at all to someone who's anxious or depressed. Because if it was that easy, would they not do it? Like, do you not think they would do it? Like, do you not think they would just think happier thoughts if it was just that easy? No. And it's not that easy. So never say it's all in your head or it's imaginary. Always try to be, how can I help you? Can I listen? I'm here to listen to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because it's happening to me also with ADHD. People don't necessarily think it's a real thing. They think I fake it, you know? Sometimes it happens to the work environment too. And that will be my other subject I want to talk to you. What are you doing if you're full of people watching you like in the street or in the office with all the colleague and you feel like having a panic attack and you're surrounded by others, surrounding by too much people, too more overwhelmed? What will you do?
No, that's a great question. So, anxiety is the fear or the excessive worry of the unknown, right? So we try
Mm-hmm.
to anticipate that unknown by basically creating all of these scenarios in our head, these what if scenarios. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? It's just our excessive need to control. So for me, what I do is in my workplace, and when I'm on the road, I travel with a photographer. I travel with like a producer who's always there with me. And there have been times when I've had an anxiety attack, like like during the entire experience. And what I did was I would tell them, like, listen, I need to take a step back for like a few minutes. Can we just press pause on things while I go take a step back?
Mhm.
And when I do that, then they know to either come check on me within like 10 or 15 minutes, but like again, they're an extension of that support system I mentioned, right? But maybe that doesn't
Mhm.
exist for you. Maybe you don't have a support system at work. Maybe you can find a place at work you can retreat to, whether that's your car, whether that's your room, because we're all working from home now. So whether
Mhm.
that's your room, whether that's going for a walk, like we do have the power. I know it's hard to realize, but we have to be aware of like we do have the power to press pause, because sometimes when we're anxious, we feel so stuck. We feel so stuck. And all everything I'm saying right now, I want to clarify for all your viewers and listeners. It is a lot easier said than done, right? Like this is going to take
Mhm.
practice and time. Just like therapy, you don't go to one therapy session and think you're cured. Like no, this is going to take time and effort and consistency and patience, which I think people don't have a lot of, but it's important when you're trying to learn how to, really kind of take control of your mental health.
Yeah, and what do you think about therapy? Do you think it's necessarily a good thing? What is your experience? I will mostly ask about therapy. I mean, talking to somebody
Well,
that's not a friend or not somebody that you know.
that's a great question, and I'm gonna answer that with two things. One, I'm producing with my lifestyle brand. We're producing three short films, all about making therapy famous because I believe therapy should be famous. I think it should be something that's taught in school, that how to find a therapist if you need one, because therapy isn't for everyone. Totally understand that. Totally get that. But I don't think everyone should just chalk it off and be like, no, that's for crazy people. Because I believe therapy is such a transformative experience, and here's why. Therapy can allow you to, yes, you're talking to a stranger, but that stranger could help you take a bird's eye view, a step outside of yourself on how to understand what's going on in your life. And then on top of that, they can teach you and help you learn cool ways and helpful strategies on how to deal with your challenges, right? Like, I don't know
Hmm.
why you wouldn't want to try that out. And my experience with therapy, well, I always say in my speeches, it's like the story of Goldilocks. Do you know the story of Goldilocks?
No.
You know the story of Goldilocks? Girl, okay, this is a fairy tale. So the girl breaks into the three bears' house, see
Oh
one
yeah,
bowl of
this
porridge.
one. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, she tries one bowl of porridge, it's too cold. Tries the second bowl of porridge, it's too hot. Tries the last bowl of porridge, it's just right. Well, for me, my first therapist, Miss Carol, if she was a bowl of porridge, she'd be too cold. Cause,
yeah.
Cause Miss Carol was too old. She was too old. She didn't get me. She didn't understand me. She was just not. She wasn't it. Now, Erin, the therapist, she was too hot because she always kind of talked at me. But Kelly, the therapist, who I see today, she has been so helpful and just very listen, and she's very supportive, and she listens to me. And I just I can't speak highly enough of therapy. Highly enough. I recommend it to everybody.
That's great. So if you need to consult, do it. And I'm going to ask you a more tricky question because some people are okay with it and some people are not. It's about medication. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, medication, just like therapy, might not be for everyone. It doesn't mean that if it doesn't work for me, it won't work for you, right? Like everyone is different. Every case is different. No two human beings are exactly the same. And I say that when I talk about medication because for me, medication didn't work for me. When I was in the hospital, they prescribed me the antidepressant of Zoloft. And Zoloft, it's a little pill that you would take. They call it an SSRI, which is a category of antidepressants that you take. I was prescribed Zoloft, and for me, I threw it up the first day I took it. And for me, it was hard to this is the way I thought about it from my personal experience. I'm not saying it's everyone's experience,
Mm-hmm,
but for
absolutely.
me, I was like, I don't know how comfortable I feel taking a pill to feel happiness, like to feel okay, right? Like I want to try other ways 'cause I feel like I'm being dependent on medication to feel okay on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to really try out to see if there was other alternative options. Now, for me, what all those things that worked for me were talk therapy was a big thing that helped me. Exercise was a big thing that helped me. But I also recognize there are people that need medication because
Mhm.
there are mental illnesses that have a chemical imbalance in the brain that cause
Mhm.
that. So medication can help balance that out. That's wonderful. But that again works for you, not for me, right?
Exactly.
So that's why, like you said, it's a tricky question because it's not a one size fit all ordeal. It's a very much of a case by case basis.
Absolutely. So you told me that you were hospitalized. You had to go to the doctor because you had a panic attack. How
Yeah.
was it for you? Did you learn something? Was it a right thing for you to be hospitalized or not? What was your experience?
Full transparent story. I was a senior in college, and I'm not sure. Are you in college? Are you out of college? I don't know. Did you are you in
We
school?
have college, yeah, in
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah, yeah,
It's almost the same thing than in the US for the school. We have
yeah.
high schools and we do have college.
Yeah. So, college was a very stressful time because you
Mhm.
want to find out who you are. But I
Mhm.
was in a relationship that was just very toxic and abusive and wasn't the healthiest of relationships. And when that relationship ended abruptly, didn't realize that I was depending on this person for all this validation because that's
Mhm.
one of the big triggers of my anxiety is depending on external validation, being told I'm good enough by other people. So when this person left my life and I wasn't getting that validation anymore, I just went into sheer panic because I'm just like, what if I'm really not good enough? What if I die alone? What if I go to school and everyone thinks that I'm some monster? What if this? What if that? All these thoughts are going through my mind,
Mhm.
and I had then these dark thoughts came in my mind of like, what if I'm not here anymore? Like, what if it's a lot easier for everyone else if I'm not here? 'Cause I felt like I was a burden, right? So when I go to the hospital and I tell them because I'm having these very suicidal, dark thoughts, and I go to the hospital and I tell them what's going on, I go to the ER and I'm put in this like room. And I talk about it in my book actually at length about my experience in the hospital because in the hospital, you go to the ER for a cough, an ache, a bruise, a broken bone.
Mhm.
But when you go for like a mental health challenge, they bring you to a separate wing, right? A separate room. This
Mhm.
room was like child proofed out. There was nothing sharp in the room. The chairs were plastic. I had to take off all my personal belongings because they do all this for your own protection. They
Of
don't want you
course.
to be at risk for yourself, to
Mhm.
yourself. So I'm sitting in the hospital in this room and the room is only accessible from the outside in. So I couldn't get out. I
Mhm.
couldn't get out. So I'm there like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna
That must
happen?
be
And the doc
scary.
yeah, it was scary. But then the doctor came in and he asked me a series of questions to see, how much at risk I was at, if I really wanted to harm myself, if I had a plan, and he was asking all these questions.
Mhm.
And then he gave me three options. He said, one, I could prescribe you medication and send you back to your therapist. Two, I could have you live in the hospital, what they call an inpatient program.
Mhm.
Or three, you go to this outpatient program, they call it, where you go to this mental health facility for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And at the end of each day, you get to go back home. And between you and I and all your listeners, I chose the third option because I am a huge mama's boy. So I would kind of miss my mom for too long. And I was very blessed and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to choose. Most people don't have that choice, right? So I had a choice on what I could choose between those three options. So I chose the outpatient program. And the outpatient program was group therapy. I was meeting other kids similar our age who were going through some of the same things I was. And I've never felt more sense of a belonging than in that room, which is very weird because you're in a hospital. Like, why do you feel belonging in a hospital? But I met so many other kids who struggle with anxiety and depression and self-harm and suicidal ideation and eating disorders and like everything. And I just felt like I finally wasn't the only person who felt like this. And the stories and people I met were amazing. So, um, and it worked wonders for me. And I'm so glad that I got the help I needed.
Alex said that she needed medication while she was in school because her dad passed away suddenly and she had small kids in school at the time. So she said that every story, she agreed that every case is different and she's very glad that you shared your story.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I that really means the world to me. And I'm glad that, you're here to listen and we can even have this conversation because, you know, 5 years ago, these conversations weren't happening, right? Like these weren't
Mm-hmm.
happening, and now they're needed more than ever. That's why I'm so grateful that I got a chance to meet you and I can meet some of your listeners and I can travel and speak about it openly because we need to. We really need to, because that stigma can hold so many of us to be silent, to be hidden.
Kate said, imagine experience this with your 14 years old son.
Yeah, I feel for you. I really, really feel for you, and I want you to know, because I know when I talked about when I became
Mm-hmm.
more open about my mental health challenges, my parents were like, "Oh, am I a bad parent?" Right? It's not that our parents are bad, and I want to say to Catherine, it's not that you are a bad parent at all, right? But there is so much you can do to really like meet your son or your child where they're at. And I think as parents, we want to help our kids. We want to fix any of their problems. We don't want our kids to struggle. But the reality is we all struggle. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It just means that your son, your daughter, your loved one, they're a human being and human beings have struggles. And as a parent, you're doing all that you can. You're doing the best that you can. So I don't want that to be lost in translation at all.
So, what would you suggest to parents that have children that have panic attack? I remember when I was a child, I had panic attacks, and it was not funny for my mom. I must admit, and she didn't know how to deal with this. And sometimes she did things that she shouldn't do, because she doesn't know and she doesn't understand. So, what would you suggest to people to do when they see their children having like a meltdown? Meltdown's not only when you're a very young child.
Yeah, and I'm for the record, I want to be clear here. I love being transparent. I'm 24 years old. I don't got a baby. I don't got a kid. I don't got a daughter. I don't got a son. I am literally I'm still a child. I still consider myself a child. So I say all that to say that I have no grounds to ever tell a parent how to parent their kids. But I can always say based on my experience what I wished my parents said to me, right? So when I was having
Hmm.
my anxiety attacks, when I was struggling in school, instead of my parents fixing me, I wish they would just like sit down and listen. Just let me, because like I said before, people who have mental health challenges, right? We don't want to be fixed. We want to be heard. And if my mom, if my dad, if my uncle, my aunt stopped trying to fix me, right? And just really sat down and be like, hey, like, you want to talk? I noticed you kind of been off. I just want to listen to you. I just want to hear how you're doing. How's your day going? Not going well? You want to talk about it? You don't have to. You don't want to. I'm here. I'm here when you want to talk. That alone can work so much wonders and so can open a whole new level of your relationship between you and your son. Because it did for me. It did for me. When my mom really just sat down and asked me, "How am I feeling? How are you really feeling, Wes?" You know, and I just opened up the gates and I told her, you know? So not being a fixer, but trying to be a listener.
And so
That's the
at the same
biggest thing.
time, you have to trust your parents. Sometimes you don't trust them because they did things that they shouldn't because they don't know how to deal with you. So sometimes that trust is hard. I remember when I was a kid, a teenager, I was screaming when I had panic attack. I have ADHD too. So for me,
Right.
emotion was hard, even harder for me to express. So sometimes parent does not know how to deal with that. They think you're crazy, and I remember my mom just leaving because she didn't know how to deal with that.
Right. Right. It's so hard. It
Yeah.
is so hard, and yeah, I always offer a level of compassion towards our parents because to
Mhm.
be honest, they come from a different generation, right? These, like I said, 5 years ago, never mind 20 years ago, these conversations weren't taking place. Mental health was something that was still labeled for crazy people, and there was the stigma was rampant, alive, and it was huge. But now these conversations are taking more place. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you have a show called the ADHD show. Like, that's wild to me. Like, and imagine how wild that is to like our parents' generation. The eight, like what, like all they know about ADHD is like Ritalin and Adderall. That's all they know. They don't know about what like conversation, like conversing about it. So
No, it's
it's
true.
just
It was so
yeah,
taboo at the time, and people were like
yeah,
looking at you like you were crazy. They just wanted to give you pills. They didn't want to understand you. Let's go with
yeah,
pills. It's like in the time with the lobotomy. Let's go. We're going to fix
yeah.
you.
We're gonna fix you. We're not gonna listen to you. We're gonna fix you. We're gonna put pills down your throat until you're fixed. Terrible, scandalous.
Yeah, I remember my mom almost forcing me taking those pills when I was a child. At the same time, that made me scared of taking pills again or needing those because I'm scared of that.
Right,
And you need to take, if you're a parent, just take care of it, not traumatizing your child, okay? Just don't.
right. No, no, I totally agree. And no, I'm actually gonna do this wild thing. We're gonna do a podcast episode on the go. We're gonna do a podcast. I'm literally walking into the place where I'll be staying. So I'm actually gonna be doing a podcast episode on the go. But continue asking your question. I'm right here with you. I'm with. I have you in my ear.
You're
Can you hear
still
me?
here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great, amazing. So yeah, I'm so happy that you were open about me with me about your struggles, because everybody uh, have struggles. So I'm going to ask to the people that are listening to me right now. Do you have any question for West? Is anyone has a
Any
question?
questions?
Probably don't have any question, but that's okay if you don't. I'm going to wait a little bit because I know that some of you write long text. So maybe it's coming. But I'm so
Oh,
happy,
then
guys,
I
that you
type
were
it.
here today. And I'm going to ask you, Wes, to say the last word.
The last word I have is to don't be afraid to talk about anxiety. I mean, I'm so thankful that you and I have had the opportunity to meet and we can have these conversations like this. But the conversations shouldn't stop here. And I would love to see more conversations on mental health happening in the world, right? Happening
Hmm.
in social media. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And that's a little bit why I decided to do my show and invite people like you, and that's so exciting to have other views than only mine. And yeah, I'm so excited because now I have a sponsor. I'm going to hire an intern to help me with my English, etc., etc. So I have a lot of plans to make that show in another level. But if people you
Yes.
want to help me, you can just follow me on YouTube. That's going to help me. I absolutely need 100 people following me because I want to change that link that I hate. It's so hard, okay? So please follow me on YouTube. Just tap the ADHD Melly Show and just follow me. And if you want to get 0 dB, 15% off, or a little sponsor that I'm so happy to have, so get some too. And don't forget that you can donate to GoFundMe and everything helps. Seriously, thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, guys, I'm preparing a Patreon, and Wes is going to answer to a question in private, and I'm going to put it on the Patreon page. And when I open that up, you will be able to watch it in secret. So I hope to see you
Ooh.
soon, guys. Bye.